Hey everybody, Fairwind Cosplay here. I'm here again for part 2 of my review for the The2Tails Catalina Aqua Sparkle Mermaid Tail. Just so we know, there is a part 1 to this review. I will link that down below. And even though I do have a brief clip of me swimming, unfortunately when I practiced in it, no one with me had a GoPro, so I only have above the water clips of me in the tail. However, if you'd like to see this tail in action, please check out my podmate Mermaid Jenny's video of her swimming in her Catalina Aqua Sparkle tail. I will leave that in the link below for you too. So to catch up, The2Tails is a fabric mermaid tail merchandising company that's been selling mermaid tails for a while now. I was recently selected to be one of their brand ambassadors, and they sent me this tail at a discounted price to review and try out as part of my promotion campaign with them. So in my first video, I talked about the cosmetics and the things that I liked right off the bat while the tail was dry. So today I'm going to talk to you about the pros and cons I've discovered after using this tail for an extended period of time. So first and foremost, I love the colors on this tail. I love the sparkles and the scales. Both are extremely evident underwater, and especially the deeper gradient on the sides of the tail and the fluke look stunning underwater. There are a couple things about the fabric that I am not exactly the biggest fan of. First and foremost, the fabric, as I suspected, was a little bit sheer. Even though I did wear a matching bathing suit bottom and a hip wrap, there was still signs that I was wearing something underneath. I might try to do next time is get a pair of pale blue mermaid leggings and see if that helps hide and make the illusion stronger. However, that happens with a number of mermaid tails out there on the market. So if that doesn't bother you, then I would definitely recommend this tail for the aesthetic. Secondly, in my first half of the video, I was a little bit unsure about the seams. I mentioned that they looked like they would pull if the tail was too tight on my body. Now mind you, the The2Tails has a unique sizing chart. This tail in particular is their standard one-size-fits-all mermaid tail. They have a number of selections for children, teenagers, toddlers, men, and curvy merfolk. So if you're taller, you might want to look at their men's sizes. If you're curvier, definitely check out their plus sizes. Having options for plus size merfolk is a really incredible thing, and I love that about the The2Tails as a company. So I did look at their measurement charts, and even though I fell completely within the range for a standard size, when I put the tail on for the first time, I was concerned that these seams would start pulling. When I swam in the tail, that was confirmed that the seams would start pulling. Now this is something we call smiling, which means that when the tail was sewn, the thread tension in the machine was probably pulled a little too tightly. So when the fabric is stretched, you can see the seams like little zipper teeth, like poking out. Again, if you're in this for the hobby and this is a casual fun thing for you to do, don't be concerned about the seams. What I'm mostly concerned about is that if I wear this tail too often and the seams continue to pull, I might seriously damage the tail. The other thing that concerns me about the seams, going along into the next point, is that the tail itself does not have an opening flap here. Now, a lot of mermaid tails on the market do have a flap, an opening, where one can insert their monofin, and during tail slaps and things like that, you can see the neoprene or whatever the lining of the monofin through that gap. The The2Tails does not have that. So you can see here, the tail is completely enclosed. Now on the one hand, that helps keep the illusion very strong that there's nothing inside the tail, that it's all just scales and bones and actual mermaid matter. So that's definitely helpful. What I struggled with was removing the monofin from the skin. I was so scared that my pulling on the fabric would damage the seams, and it's entirely possible that I did. But because the monofin is so rigid, and because the skin itself is so tight, and there's no easy removal hole here, I physically had to pull and bend the monofin until it popped out of the tail at the waist. I wasn't exactly super happy with that. Why would you remove the tail, you ask? Because I like to make sure that once my monofin and my skin are separated, that I wash them and let them both dry. I don't want to get mold inside anything mermaid related, so I like to make sure everything is clean and dry before I wear it again. And if I left the wet monofin inside the wet skin, that may have developed mold. So it was really, really hard to take the monofin out of the skin, and it was really, really hard trying to put it back in. Before I filmed this video, I think I struggled for about 15 minutes trying to put 2 and 2 back together. So I am a little bit worried that if I'm not careful, or if one is not careful, all of that pulling can damage the seams. However, the fabric is nice and stretchy. It is a 4-way stretch material, like that. So I'm sure that with care it will be completely fine. That's just something that I struggled with, and that you might not. So let's talk about the monofin. I should have filmed with the monofin out so that you could actually see what it looks like. This particular monofin is a very rigid plastic, and it's covered with a green neoprene layer with 2 foot pockets where you put your feet inside, and then there's a Velcro piece to keep them secure. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of the length of the monofin. I think the shape is beautiful. I think it looks very dolphin-like. There aren't any other mermaid tail styles out there on the market that's anything like this. So if you're looking for a really unique look, this is the monofin for you. Aesthetically, I think I like something a little bit longer. I was with a couple of other mermaids practicing and training for an event we have in the summer, and my fluke was definitely the smallest. Now that's just a personal preference. If you're tinier or a younger mer, I think the smaller fluke might definitely be a good thing for you proportionally. I just tend to like a bigger fluke myself. However, it does look beautiful underwater. And another good thing about the fin is that because it is rigid, it gives you a really good push in the water. Compared to the Fin Fun monofin, which is floppy, this does not have a lot of give in the water. However, that also means you don't need to work as hard to kick and to go further. I'm guessing that if this monofin was a little bit longer, you could go even further than what you can already. But because I swim so hard and so quickly, I was able to rudder cleaner turns and get a little bit further, even though the monofin itself was shorter. If you'd like something that gives you a little extra push or a little extra edge in the water, I do recommend this. The monofin itself, I think, is a little too small for my feet. It could be because I have a wider foot and a high arch that I was like getting a little bit uncomfortable. I did not cramp once in this tail though. So I warmed up, I made sure that everything was nice and loose before I went into the water, and I didn't cramp. But I do think my feet were a little too close together, if that makes any sense. I felt like they were banging into each other a little bit, and that wasn't exactly my favorite feeling in a monofin. But again, if you have smaller feet, or you're shorter, or you're a kid, this might not be as big a problem for you. Overall, I do like this tail a lot. There are some things about the design that I might have changed. Specifically, the biggest thing for me is how close my feet were, and also the seams being a slight issue. But other than that, I do recommend the tail, especially if you're just starting out and you're unhappy with any of the more mainstream tail designs. And if you're somebody who's got a little bit more tummy, or you're curvy, or tall even, and you're not finding any options, the 2Tails has options for you in a number of really fun, funky designs. If you would like to, I do have a discount code for you to use. You can use Sinead15 at checkout to receive 15% off your order. I'm really excited to get to use this tail, especially for cosplay shoots. One of my very favorite anime series as a teenager was Mermaid Melody Pitchy Pitchy Pitch, and a couple years ago I was part of a huge YouTube voice acting endeavor in which a group of us translated and sang all of the Mermaid Melody songs from Japanese to English, and I played Hanan. She's the aquamarine mermaid, and I think this tail will be perfect for her. Since I voiced her, she's had a very near and dear place in my heart, and I'm very excited to get to bring her to life at some point this summer. Thanks very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the clip that I'm about to show you, and make sure you check out Mermaid Jenny's video underwater to see this tail really shine. Thanks for tuning in, and see you later. Bye!